nah, I don't believe in luck. I believe, God, there's blessings, there's bad things that happen, but God's in control of it all. That's our opportunity. Boom! Christian worldview. I am stating my worldview. You don't have to be aggressive in stating your worldview. All you got to do is say, what's your sign, Jeff? Well, I don't believe in astrology. I'm like Christian, and God, God has all that in control. We obey Him, and things go well, and our lives are changed. But, astrology really doesn't have anything to do with it from my perspective. I don't believe in that. That's our opportunity, because it's filled. The world's filled with stuff like that. Or you'll get things on TV. How many times have you seen a character go, and they're promising something that they can't possibly back up? Like a parent will go to their child and say, oh, honey, I'll be there for you all the time. I'll be there forever. No, you won't. You don't know if you're going to get run over by a car tomorrow, Jeff. You don't. If you're telling your kids, I'll always be there, it's not, we don't know that. But we could say, God will always be taking care of you. Now, I pray that I am here all the time, and you don't want to scare your kids and stuff. But those little things that creep in, now they get a perspective of, Daddy's God. And that happens up to a certain age. That's just the way it is. That is what happens. And so at a certain age, though, you want to be discussing with them about God takes care of them. That's why we have an awesome God. He's a personal God. So that's what we want to convey to our kids, so that when they get out on their own, now they're relying on God, because mom and dad can't be there all the time. They can't. They can't possibly be there. All right. So, action steps. What can we do from this point? Buy a book. All right? Buy a book. Read something on the internet. There's plenty of stuff on the internet about worldview. And just try to get in touch with, where you're at. See what your beliefs are. Because you might think, when I went to graduate school, I started out as just to get my master's in communications, but I took a Bible course because I had like one elective in the master's program, and I loved it so much. I thought, man, I gotta study the Bible too. So go in and I study the Bible, and I start questioning my faith because of all these courses. I really had to dig down deep in my preconceived notions of what I thought I believed were challenged. And I got in there and I had to really think through some things. When I learned church history and I learned how the Bible came to be, it was men meeting and putting together these manuscripts of writings. And I'm going, I don't know what I was thinking before about that, but that wasn't how I thought it happened. That they just, was there divine revelation involved in that? Well, yeah, you start reading, and I went full circle. I went down here, and it's not like I fell away from my faith, but I like, wow. And there's error in scriptures? You mean there's some contradictions in there? Yeah. That Bible that we have, that Bible you have sitting on the table, that's got some minor discrepancies in it. Is that good or is that bad? The Gospels don't line up. They tell different things. Oh, yeah? Well, how can that be? God's in control of stuff. Well, there are some Christian denominations that worship the Bible. The Bible, this thing here. So I think God put some little glitches in there just for the heck of it, to make sure we didn't worship this tangible thing and make it an idol, because it's not the Word of God. There's a philosopher, and Jacques Ellul, his name is. I read this book and I went, oh, aha. The Bible is the medium that God uses. The Spirit, through our lives, helps us interpret that medium. So this isn't the Word of God. This Bible that we have, it's the Spirit interpreting these words for us that is the Word of God. Okay? And the Bible, it has those discrepancies, but remember I was talking about the charisma, the core beliefs. There's nothing discrepant about Jesus came. He was the Son of God. He died, rose, took our sin upon himself. We are born into sin. None of those things are disputed in any aspect of the Bible whatsoever. But there might be, in one manuscript, it might say 10,000 were fighting this battle. In another one, it might say there were 40,000 fighting this battle. In one gospel, it might say that there were the cock had to crow 2 times before Peter would deny him. And the other one might say 3 times. You know, and you're reading that and say, how'd that happen? And what was going on? Was there 2 demon-possessed men at Gennesaret, or was there just one that came out and confronted Jesus and that? Well, they did a little study in World War II, and they showed the perspectives. There were 6 news agencies from different countries watching this battle that was taking place. The thing was, they were all scattered around in different places. They weren't all located in the same location. And even if they were, they probably still have some discrepancies. But each one of these, if you would read each one of these accounts, it seemed like a totally different battle. Because they saw different perspectives. Maybe they didn't see the ugly battle going on around this corner. All they saw was just a couple of shots being taken from that end of the city. But from this end of the city, there's this raging battle going on. This guy reported a raging battle. This one over here said, well, the battle wasn't that bad. It wasn't that big of a skirmish. And so everybody had a different opinion. So actually that supports the Bible, these different perspectives, because it says they didn't just get the other manuscript and copy it verbatim. They wrote it down as they saw it. All right? And as God inspired them. So, how do we do that? We want to eliminate those things that are just sort of that yeast in our beliefs. And we want to study to show ourselves approved and learn things from a worldview perspective, from a Christian worldview perspective. And just studying the Bible, we need to compare our things and how we believe and how it's integrated into our society. And that's a key to doing that. So, a little wrap up here to give you some ideas of philosophy. You never knew that ethics and politics and aesthetics, and I'm spelling it there with an E, which is another way to spell it. You can spell it with an A, aesthetics. Those are all philosophies. Study of art is a philosophy. Politics, because that's a study of force. Politics imposes things in our lives. Now, the metaphysics is the study of existence, all right? And epistemology is the study of knowledge. So what we're talking about here is a little bit of metaphysics and epistemology when we're talking about our worldview, because how do you know what you know, right? So that's kind of epistemology. How do you know what you know? Until you sit down and think about that, you'll be surprised at what you think you knew, but you really don't know. And part of metaphysics would be, what is reality? If you read some of the philosophers, Descartes' famous statement was, I think, therefore I am. Okay? He's just saying, I got this brain, I got this body, how do these things line up? And sometimes this body deceives my brain, and sometimes my brain deceives my body, and I don't know where I'm at. And Christianity comes from a dualism perspective of we're kind of body and spirit. Now you can get into some tripartite, what they call it, 3 parts: body, soul, and spirit. But let's just make it simple: body, spirit. Christianity sort of believes that. A lot of the other religions, they're sort of all over the place. Some of them believe the body, the material, means nothing. Some of them, we're all spirit. That's all it is. So they got all that confused. So all that to say, I just encourage you, get rid of the yeast in your Christian worldview. Get rid of it. There is no luck. There is no karma. It's not karma. There is a God that's all-powerful. He knows the hairs on our head. That's how awesome He is. And let's get that yeast out of our lives and be intentional about it, and then really understand so that we can love other people and challenge them in a loving way to say, you might think you're taking on a Christian perspective, but those things aren't really Christian. We need to look at those and challenge those. And I think will be fulfilled in what we're doing, and we learn more about ourselves. And in the same sense of that, we're also helping others come to a fuller knowledge of Jesus Christ.